Tonight in Norfolk County, new allegations in the Karen Reed case. The woman accused of killing her Boston police officer boyfriend was back in court this afternoon. Boston 25 News reporter Jason Law was in the courtroom. And Jason, Karen Reed's attorney claims District Attorney Michael Morrissey is the target of a federal investigation.
Yeah, Mark, today Karen Reed's attorney says not only is the U.S. Attorney's Office investigating the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, but the district attorney is the target, he says, of that ongoing investigation. Well, the U.S. Attorney's Office disputes his claims. It's another twist in the ongoing case involving Karen Reed, the woman accused of hitting and killing her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. For more than a year, Reed's attorneys have said she's the victim of a setup involving crooked investigators and prosecutors. Thursday, Reed's attorney, David Yannetti, said Norfolk County District Attorney Michael Morrissey is the target of a federal investigation.
The DA had this confirmed for them just yesterday, right from the horse's mouth. That means, Your Honor, that District Attorney Morrissey and his office are targets of a federal investigation.
According to Yannetti, that revelation came in a meeting Wednesday involving Karen Reed's defense team, prosecutors, and the U.S. Attorney's Office.
The U.S. Attorney confirmed during that conference call, confirmed for both parties, that not only has there been a federal investigation of this case, but it is ongoing. It's not over.
Thursday, a spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office sent me a clarification, appearing to contradict what Yannetti said in court. Quote, at no time has the U.S. Attorney's Office named any person or entity as a target of an investigation to anyone. The issue came up during a hearing Thursday, in which prosecutors asked a judge to seal 8 letters sent between the U.S. Attorney's Office and the Norfolk District Attorney's Office. Prosecutor Adam Lally is asking a judge to block those letters from being released because he says there's currently an active grand jury investigation into the Karen Reed case.
The Commonwealth felt that it was appropriate, given the subject matter, and as it would with anything pertaining to any grand jury, particularly what is purported to be an active grand jury presentation.
Tonight, the Norfolk District Attorney's Office also sent us this statement. Quote, no part of the communication with the Office of the United States Attorney yesterday or at any point has indicated that the Norfolk District Attorney or any member of this office is the target of the federal investigation. Mr. Yannetti misrepresented that completely. Karen Reed is due back in court for another pretrial hearing coming up next month on February 15th.
So I'm back tonight. One night only, maybe. Who knows? We'll see. But I am feeling better. I just want to let everyone know that. I'm not so happy about like my last 3 shows. Like usually I'm happy about my shows. So I'm gonna say a couple words tonight about definitely the last show. I think I didn't present it correctly. I've been under a lot of stress. I like what the Glera said, that I was too honest. And sometimes you shouldn't be so honest in public. It's true. There is sometimes. And I think my big thing is that I feel like a lot of people, like they distrust me for some reason, which is crazy because I'm very honest. Like I tell the truth. So when I say stuff on the show, it's real. Like it is definitely real, like what's going on. So obviously I've been very stressed out. What I wanted to tell you guys is really the message on what I've been going through is when you have doubts and you're questioning your own bias. That's really what I was doing throughout this whole process lately. And it's really like, I look at like the opposition, the people that attack us all the time, attack me all the time. One of the things they've been calling me is a grifter, and they're saying that I'm all about the money and I'm all about the views and I'm all about the subscribers. And for the most part, like when people come after me, like, you know, the trolls, I mostly don't care. And I laugh about it because I know it's not true. But when you start to look at some of the things that they're criticizing you of, and you might check a box, like for me, I've never been about money. I've been doing this show forever for no money, losing money. But I think the viewers, the subscribers, I think that is something that affects every creator, especially when you start gaining them like we have. And especially because I know that, like, I have probably been affected by my audience. So that's really where this whole thing started for me, is self-doubting. And I think it's like fair to do. I think that we should all do this, especially as creators. Why are we doing this? Why? And I think it was good for me because I had to go back to the basics, the foundation. And why I'm doing this is because I want to feel good about what I'm doing. And I want to make sure, obviously, that we have the facts on our side. And if you have any doubt on that, you got to recheck. You have to look at everything again. And I think also there's a loyalty that I had to Turtle Boy, obviously. Both because he got me a lot of those subscribers, both because he gave me some great content with Tim Bradle. Also, I like the guy and I like what he's been doing with this story. There's not even I was his ride or die. And I understand why people got disappointed because feel like I'm turning my back on him. And you also, some people thought like this, it was because of the state intervention or the trolls. No, this is about me. Like for me, anytime I've had crisis in my life or setbacks or made mistakes, especially, I'll go back to alcohol. When I was a kid, had a lot of issues with alcohol at a young age. I bottomed out quickly with that. And that's always what I've tried to do, is like, I don't want to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. So when I have issues, I tend to reanalyze, relook at everything, question everything. And it starts here. Like that's really what this is all about with me lately. And I told a lot of you I was trying to take a mental health break, which I was. I told you I might leave forever, which I thought about. But I'm back here tonight because I feel like after re-examining so much and just waiting, one thing I did get right. I think I got a lot wrong on the last few shows. But I think the one thing that I was correct on is the fact that I said, let's wait for court. And I think that what's really exciting is that we're starting to find out. We're going to find out what's actually happening here. Even tonight, some new letters came out. You heard what Attorney Yannetti said at the last hearing. We got February 15th coming up. We got these new filings that we haven't even seen to sanction, remove, and dismiss the charges. So basically going after the DA. We have the federal government stepping in. So for me, and it just, also there's a part of me too, when I was going through this kind of crisis mode and questioning my own bias and thinking like, I don't really care about subscribers anymore. That's going to be more my mentality in general. And not that I don't value you guys and enjoy the community that we have and posting all the comments, which I still will do, and take your phone calls. But I just want that to be kind of removed from my thought. I want to get back to making magic on the show. That's why I do this show, because I enjoy it. I don't want to be in stress about it. And there has been a lot of stress around this case. And there has been a lot of bullshit on both sides. So I'm going to try to address it a little bit tonight. And I'm also going to try to talk about why I'm feeling much better for Karen Reed and Turtle Boy tonight. Based on court documents, based on some of the leading folks in the community who have put some time into this to do the research. And I may even answer some of the questions from the other side, like Kevin. Kevin's had some questions for me. I might have some questions for Kevin. I think a lot of us on both sides sometimes, especially with social media, and this is one of the things that I'm really glad I took a little break on, is that for me, it's not even so much that the show is the problem. It's more about the social media. So I think for me, I think I might just step back more on the social media and focus more on the show in a way too, and do the show I want with less stress in the long run. But the bottom line in this case, I want to finish it to the end. I want to see what's going to happen. And we're like 2 weeks away from who knows what major happening. So I want to talk about some of this stuff tonight. Maybe post some of your comments tonight. We'll see. Hopefully you don't hate me. But I also want to point out to the other side, because they say, especially when just recently Turtle Boy put me up on his website, is, I don't even know how he made the statement, but people said like, that's a threat against you from Turtle Boy. And it's funny because I get the same threats from the other side. So you can't call one side a mob. Like, no matter how this goes, either side's going to look bad in this. And it's not because of Turtle Boy. It's because that's just the way it is. So I don't look like, think that was a threat at all. I don't think that there's a mob really on either side. However, I do, having faced some venom from both sides at this point, I do feel like there is a small minority that takes things too far. I really do. And I wish they would tone it down. I wish they wouldn't go after creators on both sides, but I get it. And I definitely don't want to even engage in that, I don't want to deal with those people. If they don't want to subscribe to me because they're so extreme in it, fine. That's good for me. But I also want to acknowledge it's on both sides. And I feel like I've felt it more from the other side. There are people that post daily about us. They make memes and videos, and it's just friggin' ridiculous. They lie about us daily. So when they want to call the Aidan side a mob, well, the other side's a mob too. I mean, I don't think either side's a mob. Maybe unless you're getting down to the, we'll see, this is where I don't want to go tonight. What I want to get to. Let's get to why I feel more confident. You just heard the guy right there, Yannetti, right? I'm going to post some Twitter comments tonight too. I got some documents. Maybe we'll share those. This is probably going to be a short show for me, but I just want to share why I feel more confident right now that Karen Reed is innocent. I've felt it all along. I've never doubted it, but like I said, I had to check my bias on this. And I feel like I'm checking it. Like, it's just, when you watched what happened at that last hearing, and I'm just going to read it. Yannetti specifically said the feds are going to be releasing their findings to both parties because out of good conscience, the feds can't allow the Karen Reed case to go to trial. I mean, that's a big statement. And there's so much information in this case right now. We're going to talk about the taillight tonight. We're going to talk about some of the things that Kevin questioned me on Twitter and why I find his stuff just not up to snuff. And it's about Yannetti too, what Yannetti just said. Because Yannetti and the defense, they've been asking the feds, it seems like, to get involved. They've been pushing towards this. You can see this. They've got these 3 requests that they have. Sanction the DA. They want to remove the DA, the case from the jurisdiction of the DA, and they want to dismiss the charges. So they got these 3 things that they put before the judge, and they could have aired that out. They could have aired that out at this, last hearing. But if you look at what he said he wanted to wait until after the feds weigh in. To me, that means they're putting it all on the line because they know how the feds are going to go. Because if they didn't, why would they just ask for it beforehand? If they've already in their minds in this request established enough. And I think with some of the things that we're going to talk about, like the taillight and the data and the lack of integrity in the investigation and times, things like that, misstatements, it seems like they have an easy defense in this case. Yet they're asking the feds to jump in. Why would they ask the feds to jump in? I think Yannetti knows. I think that the defense knows. And I think there's good reason to even, tonight we're going to show a few things that have been around. People have already talked about. Turtle Boy talked about some of the stuff. It didn't get fully fleshed out, some of it. I'm going to attempt to do it tonight. Just quickly. If my slide thing works. No. Oh, here we go. Hold on. All right. So these are the new letters that came out. People just saw some of them. I've seen 3 of them so far. We could go into the details of them. But again, they don't tell us everything. I think it looks good for the defense again. And if anyone sees, I know this, I saw 3 of them right before I aired. So I don't know if there's new ones. If there's anything new breaking, please let me know in the chat. But these are the new letters. And you can see even in these letters, Michael Morrissey is asking to find out, conflict of interest. You're going to have to move this. And Levin comes back and basically says, no, we're not moving this. Your letter, it's not pertinent. Basically he just brushes them off. We still don't know why. It could be the kind of conspiracy theory the other side has that it's Rachel Rollins. Maybe that's why. But I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. And even after listening to Kevin's last show, Kevin dropped some info that we don't know about the federal grand jury, about a witness crying on the stand. Some of the stuff that Kevin's even said, I wonder if he's starting to have some cognitive dissonance on his beliefs right now. Because I came away from his last show feeling even more confident that Karen Reed was innocent. And I don't think I'm the only one. Sean on the Golf commented. We're going to be talking about Sean on the Golf, some of his statements, and Olivia's statements tonight. Because these are the ones, like a lot of people have come at me and said, you should read every document. Have you read every document? I'm a dog walker. I run a business like 40, 50 hours a week. And then I do this like for fun, for part-time. I have the experts on. That's basically what I've tried to do on the show, if you notice. It's what I always do. I don't know every subject on everything that we question about on the show. I have experts on usually. Lawyers. But I would guess that I had already read every document, especially through those justice pages. I look through them all the time. But I can't say I have, because mass courts, I find it very hard to find the documents there, honestly. I get them mostly through the justice pages. But I've gone over them much more. But I look to people like Olivia and Sean on the Golf and other folks who are like, and Turtle Boy too, obviously, who are all over this stuff. They have the time. And I just wanted to, this is right from Olivia. This is a great one. And this is about the federal grand jury, too, in my opinion. She says guilty clients, or even potentially guilty clients, do not ask, practically beg for all the evidence that will prove their guilt. So think about that. If the federal grand jury was about Rollins, do you think Yannetti would be begging the feds for it? So, I mean, and this is the stuff. This just got posted again, the Geo Deception by, you know who they are, on, my dog's bugging me right now, YouTube. They just posted this, and I just, it goes back, I think, so much to what Trooper Proctor, some of the games he's been playing. And I've been looking at his affidavit and going through the missing times and the way that they found evidence later on, all of it. And it just doesn't add up. You could run a truck through it. And this is just one example when they did the Google fence request, whatever they call those things. And he was playing games about both what actually they received, who received it, and on the time of it. And if you look at what the defense came back in with, this is in June, they wanted all of the time. They wanted the whole weekend of the investigation, basically. And this is something that we're going to talk about, because it was about the chain of custody and what Kevin has so strongly based his foundational belief on the taillight, that it couldn't be tampered. Gee, I wonder why they want the Google geofence, the defense from the 48 hours. You think they want to try to find out where Michael Proctor and all the police were at certain times? This is just something that we should be talking about a little more, I think. And here's Sean McDonough, Sean on the Golf, as people know him. He says, every time Yellow Cottage Tales changes his story, we find out more and more. He first said that when JM and CA testified at the federal grand jury that they were asked policy questions about the investigators. Tonight, we learned that the assistant U.S. attorney who asked the questions brought someone to tears. Very aggressive, huh? See, this is what I love Sean on the Golf, and I love Olivia as well. Even though the trolls are after them, the trolls are also after them. They don't feed the trolls. They don't fight the trolls. They're good examples. What are they? The only way they feed the trolls is with facts that they can't deal with. And this is a perfect fact. And this is what I heard on the last Yellow Cottage Tale. When I heard that myself too, it's like Sean McDonough and I, like right here, I guess I'm on his level right now on this finally. But when I heard that, that was the highlight of that episode for me. Because I was like, wow, I wonder who that was. That's what I wanted to know. Who was crying on the stand of the U.S. attorney? Their show was supposed to make us feel less confident that Karen Reed was innocent, but I came away feeling more confident just from that one statement. And this is more about the foundational evidence. This is Sean McDonough has been killing it. There's a guy I want to talk about tonight too, Sergeant Peter Murphy. We're going to bring him up tonight. And hopefully I get these guys on the show. We'll see. I think that they know where this is headed and they're just going to sit back and wait till it's all over to take their glory lap. But I think there's something to this. Like Sean is going back to when Kevin was much more open to the side that Karen Reed was innocent. And there's a video of Karen pulling out of her driveway to go basically, I think they were going to Jen McCabe's house. That must have been when they were going to Jen McCabe's house to meet up with the other one there, the three of them. And then they drove back. I don't know. It was crazy. They went a loop. They went all over the place before they actually went to where they found John that morning. But she bumped into the vehicle, the John's vehicle. And when she drove off, you can see that the taillight looks perfectly intact. Doesn't seem like there's any damage. You have video, you have screen captures. The taillight does not look damaged. And if the taillight is not damaged, then how does it get damaged later when it was supposed to be damaged before? This is like foundational. And I find it strange that Kevin overlooks this. And that's why I feel like actually Kevin needs to take some of the advice that he's given me. Like, why is he so one-sided? Why is his coverage so why has he gotten caught up? Because I feel like he has gotten caught up in something, and I don't know why. I don't think he's a bad person. But why can't he discuss this intact taillight? He did at one point. Now he just totally dismisses it, acts like it doesn't exist. And this is something I want to talk about tonight. Sean McDonough, again, known as Sean on the Golf. Sean is a former DEA agent who was like pretty high in the food chain, 30 plus years. He's also a Capitol police officer and a detective too for a police department. He's got like experience in law enforcement, to say the least. And he and a gentleman named Peter Murphy have talked. And I've recently talked to Peter Murphy too. And so I'm going to read what Sean McDonough wrote about it, and then I'm going to talk about my conversation with Peter Murphy. Sean says retired Canton Police Department officer Wanless admitting removing the taillight housing from the SUV while in Mass State Police custody. Officer Wanless does not appear in any CPD nor Mass State Police report. Why did Proctor conceal this event? Why would he conceal this obvious chain of custody for this evidence? I want to know why this hasn't been answered. And I talked to Peter Murphy, and he told me the same story. He told me that he had talked to Wanless, and Wanless admitted it. And he had talked to the FBI. Peter Murphy has talked to the FBI. And so where do you think the FBI probably went next? I would guess they would go talk to Wanless probably, or they would go get some geo data. I mean, who knows what they would get from that? And Peter Murphy also told me there was some other stuff that got at his time at Canton Police Department that got an officer was doing something and they ignored it. So that's one person. I mean, it could be a vendetta. I always say in journalism, you want two sources on something. We have one, but the FBI is not going to settle for one. The FBI is going to have the resources and power to find out if that's a real, truthful event that happened. And if it did, these guys are done. And Sean McDonough, the ex-DEA agent, obviously thinks it happened. Sean McDonough came back. He said, here is today's thought for the day. Karen Reed is clearly a defendant in the Commonwealth's case. Did anyone ever ponder the idea that she may be a victim in a federal case? Think about that over coffee. It's funny because so many folks have come after Aidan, Turtle Boy, and even other folks on Twitter and especially for witness intimidation. And these are the same folks that have said horrible things about Karen Reed. I wonder if they've been doing witness intimidation. Sean McDonough writes, I have a great mind. Plus, I've worked the system for 35 years. It's not that difficult. The evidence planning was real easy to figure out. All I had to do was read Proctor's affidavit. You can too. And of course, I reread Proctor's affidavit after that tweet. And I could post that. I think I have it right here. Yeah, I'll post that up. But it's hard to read. But basically, if you look at that thing, what it says is that Proctor gave the wrong time. He gave the wrong time that Karen Reed's car was towed from Dighton. And Kevin still seems to stick to that, I believe. And we know that Proctor was just dishonest because we have two sources. Remember I said two sources are important? We got two sources. And I think one of them's impeachable. Actually, both of them are impeachable. One source is I believe it's Ring or maybe alarm.com. They got it. They got it on surveillance camera. They got it when the tow was going. He made it an hour later than it was, Proctor, in his report. Doesn't have a lot of times for a lot of stuff. He had a time for that. Didn't have a picture of the car. So we don't know the condition before it possibly got tampered, which I do believe it did happen. So Proctor's report was wrong because of the alarm.com video, the screen capture that shows the correct time. And then Lally turned around and said, no, that was because of daylight savings. Like it was an alarm clock from the 70s. Like every single surveillance company, especially the camera companies, any of them, I don't care if it's Blink, Alarm, whoever it is, they're all on the drive. They're all on the cloud now. They update that stuff's already programmed 5 years ahead of time. There's never a wrong time on there. It's always correct. So you have that. Then the second source was the police department themselves, the Dighton Police Department. And who got that? Aidan did. Aidan posted that right up. So Aidan was already onto this. He had reported on it. But then you got this Peter Murphy guy, which I think that there's so much that the federal government could be looking into. Sean McDonough writes, there was a train being driven by Team Reed coming down the tracks towards Dedham. And down the line, the Commonwealth is tied and bound to those tracks. The question is, will the Commonwealth get themselves free or will they perish when the train arrives on February 15th? Any takers? Now, it gets me to some of the letters that just came out. There's a letter from Morrissey to the feds, to the FBI agents saying, here's our investigators at the state police. Go interview them. And he didn't ask them to interview him, I guess. He wanted the state police, Tully. Maybe he's going to throw Tully under the bus. That's what it looked like to me. I don't know what those letters mean. It could mean so many things. But some of those letters, you just wonder if that just doesn't even deliver the message that Morrissey's already going to throw it on the state police. All right, let's get to we got a few more slides, I think. No, is that it? No, I want to get to some more slides tonight. Here's another one from Olivia. Olivia says they seemingly found the clear pieces of broken cocktail glass, a black straw, and drops of blood in the morning. but they didn't find any of the taillight until later. And when did they do that? They did that. There is a time window when that car could have gotten back to Dighton, back to Canton Police Department, could have been pulled off and smashed and then dropped before the CERT team from the state police got there. It's a tight window, but it definitely could have happened. No doubt about it. Chain of custody in this was horrible. You could drive a truck through it. Here's Sean McDonough. He says, honestly, I hold no grudges. He has been taken advantage of. Turtle Boy pissed him off, and he never forgot. Hell, I can't forget I was his guest when it happened. He's talking about Kevin from Yellow Cottage Tales. And I agree 100%. Like, I think Kevin should, like, you know, I'm checking my balance. I'm going to try to be fair tonight. There are a few things that I think that Kevin and his guest on the show the other night that I think they made a good point on. I'm gonna address that in a second. So I'm checking my bias. I'm hearing from both sides. I'm going with what sounds real, but I don't think Kevin is. I think Kevin has a real issue with Turtle Boy, like Sean said. And I think that's the absolute truth. And I don't think Sean hates Kevin either, even though Kevin said a lot of terrible crap about Sean. I think Sean's just enjoying knowing he's going to be right. Sean writes, this is what sticks out to me. All the trolls were spewing that bullshit for months, how they fed this all wrapped up. They had all the secret evidence. And that's another thing, too. When you see when they leaked some messages that I sent saying not the best things about Turtle Boy because I was trying to reach out to the other side. And I'm going to say it wasn't KP. It wasn't any of the real nasty people you think of. It was someone that's closer to the family. All right. That's all I'll say, really. But, you know, the reason I started to do that is I want to see what they had, because they kept talking about their secret documents. And what did they offer? They offered nothing. They doxed me. And even with Kevin, what is he offering us on this? It's so like, there's not much. And then Olivia actually breaks apart something that's just amazing. The way that, you know, that this definitely could have happened in the time frame. And that includes John going into the house. So there's so much information here that's coming out. And this is the part that I really wanted to look at about this the Star Oppo. I don't even know what this app is, but apparently they used a consumer app used for like search and rescue that has nothing to do with a homicide investigation to like add another layer to the digital data from the house. And it sounds like a piece of crap. And this is again what I think makes me feel more confident that Karen Reed is innocent. When you just look at the data, when you look at what was done here, and then you even line that up against the fact that they're almost putting it all in the feds now. If you have all that information, why do you even need the feds? Why would you even gamble? I think that they know. I think the defense knows. Here it is. This is about the yardstick measuring job that they did with that app. It's just a joke. So you see, this is just a tip of the iceberg. There's other things I could talk about tonight, but I think you get the point. When you look into this, you can't mess with the facts, and you can't mess with the reasonable doubt for Karen Reed, and we can't mess with. We're going to get a lot of information very soon, so let's just be happy and just. That's all I'm saying. Like, don't get yourself in trouble on either side, and let's see what happens in court, because I think we're going to find out on all of this. I really do. So maybe I'll post some comments. Bob Brown. Olivia is a certified genius. Yes, she is. Here's another good one. This is again what I'm talking about. The facts of the case. Caroline Forth writes, the big thing too is the tow truck driver. I work in the insurance industry. I will tell you, if her taillight was smashed into pieces, the tow truck driver would have absolutely reported it. Exactly. Exactly. And I think that, the one thing that Kevin and his guest said the other night that could ring true, I think, that could even raise any doubt on what the feds are going to do here is the fact that no one from the state police has been suspended. That, no, everyone seems to be working like it's a regular day over there. That actually raises, that's actually a good point that they make. So I will give them that on that. But maybe that's why the feds are about to weigh in on everything in the next couple of weeks. And the letters did come out. It looks like, there's some good information in there. It's going to be interesting to see what all the letters are. I've only seen, I think, 4 of them now. Is it 3 or 4? Let's just see if there's anything else I want to see in there. Yeah, there we go. There's a lot of lack of pictures here. I mean, I thought if you were home, especially with the iPhone today, I don't understand why they're not taking pictures of everything. You don't have to wait for a cameraman to show up. You got a camera in your this is very weird. Kevin insists the Dighton issue is just sloppy police work. It's always just sloppy, huh, Kev? I mean, that's the thing. When you go back to it, when you remove the bias, Turtle Boy was right on this case. And they have gone after him because he was right and he exposed it to a lot of people. So what more is there to talk about tonight? I don't think there is much more. I guess I'm hearing LTL and the Galera are both are they both going live or is it just LTL? One of them's going live. They're going to go live with all 8 letters. That's cool. I'll probably watch that. Or I'll check out the letters too. Am I getting a good comment from Joe Biffle? The show is the right speed and not all the hoopla, super chats, and all that noise. Yeah, I'm getting no super chats tonight, which is fine. And I even took down the Venmo request and all that other crap. I just want to have a good show. And an easy show. Like, I'm not going to, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do the select board hearing tomorrow. I'm sure other channels will too, which I think is great. I think all the channels that are interested in what's going on in Canton should be broadcast in those select board meetings because not all of us have exactly the same followers. So I'm hoping to do that tomorrow. But I just want to say I'm not going to be killing myself like I used to. That's another thing too. I know a lot of my listeners and the followers on the show that you guys don't really know me. Like, I've been doing this stuff for like 10 years. And my last big story was about a woman who died, 27-year-old cannabis worker who died on the job. Took two ambulance rides out of True Leaf and died and didn't need to die. And it's a story that, basically the cannabis worker issue that most people don't even still know about, where workers are getting sick and dying at these places because they don't have the proper equipment, they don't have the proper air, they don't have the proper education. There's nothing going on. They're putting people at risk, and people are dying. People are getting sick. We covered it for a long time, and people ignored us. And then the workers kept coming on our show telling us these stories, and they predicted that someone was going to die, and then she did. And I became really close to her family, and we fought really hard for her, but it looked like we had a little worker movement going. And in the end, it just kind of fizzled out. Like, the powers that be at the state of Massachusetts, the cannabis control, they crushed us. They crushed me. I got really I had to stop after over a year covering this. because I was so fed up with them, it wasn't going to work. It was going to make it worse. So, I mean, I think the story and the coverage did help federally with OSHA, and DPH got involved. So there are some good things happening, but still not enough. And so I've been doing this, difficult coverage. It gets to you after a while. You get really invested in it. And sometimes I wonder if I should take a break from it. And that's what I'm going to try to do a little more, is not go so hard. Just kind of ease up and do a show every once in a while. So I hope people see where I'm at, and I hope you accept it and enjoy it like I do. And I think it was a good show tonight, actually. And maybe we'll have some guests again. Free Turtle Boy. I hope so. See, that's my bias. I'm Free Turtle Boy. It's another one. We know Aidan is innocent. Well, I say innocent until proven guilty, and for everybody when they've been charged for things. I think we have to see what happens in court. And obviously, I mean, my biggest issue with Aidan being charged in all this is that he's being charged and harassed by the district attorney's office and the state police that he exposed. I mean, he should automatically get, new people, and not someone that the district attorney appoints. Like, the whole Ken Mello thing. This was like, it just doesn't seem right. Is a good comment. Have Sean on the Golf on. We all love him. Well, tell him Sean on the Golf. This is one. I'm glad you brought him up again, because we're going to have him on right now. You know what we're going to do? We're going to play. Like, there's a reason, I had to go back too and just go back and like, why did I get so involved in this? Because I feel like Karen Reed is innocent. I want justice for John O'Keefe. And one of the first shows that really got me on this was Sean on the Golf. And he's excellent, and I would love to have him back. I definitely want to get him back on the show. So if you know him, I talked to him. Tell him he needs to come on very soon. And I would like to get Peter Murphy on too. I talked to both those guys. They're very good guys. Love Sean on the Golf. Oh, Bob Brown says, Mike, Olivia is here. Have her on. She's brilliant. She is? Is she watching tonight? Did she leave a comment? I'm going to see if she left a comment. Oh, yeah. She left comments for everyone. Hi, Shawnee Sean. Hi, Bob Brown. And I slowed down the chat tonight, too, because it's just me covering it. I just, I hope people don't get frustrated. Tell me if it's too slow. Yeah, didn't Grant and Riccio harass that family? I don't know about Riccio, but Grant did, yeah. That's the thing, too. People are like, are you scared of Grant? Is that why you... No, I've had... Grant and I are like KP and Turtle Boy, basically, for the last few years. And it comes a certain point where you're just like, he's been exposed. He's going to keep... Like, there's other people who are going to... why do I need this? I just don't... And I feel bad for him in a way. And I think the kid does have talents, actually. I know some of you might not see that, but I want him to get his shit together. Riccio, whatever. I don't even feel like I have to respond to them. I think people just know when someone hates you that badly, they'll make shit up. And that's why, for me, KP is not someone that I would ever talk to about Turtle Boy. Maybe I would talk to her about something else. I don't know. I'm sure she's got some things that she's into that, we could discuss. I don't know. But in terms of Turtle Boy, it's just too much hate there. It's tough to know what's real. So I just ignore those guys. That's where I'm at with them. And honestly, I wish them well. I wish they wouldn't spend all the time hating people. So I feel like that's a lot of what they do. And I think a lot of us get in that kind of zone on social media where you can just have people you just don't like and you go after them all the time. And it's like a siege mentality. I don't think it's productive. even for me, like even to be defending myself. You are what you spend your time on. That's the key. See if there's other comments here I want to post. There's a lot of comments actually. Yeah, here's one. Oh, this is so funny because some of you guys got so mad at me that I said I might have him on. I would kind of like it, even if it like I don't think I would do a full show with him. Like I don't think any of us can handle that. But like have him on for like 5-10 minutes and try to be nice to each other, even though like I think he's full of shit on all this, what I said. It would be kind of interesting. You guys are talking about Kevin from Yellow Cottage Tales. But I would love to have Olivia on again, of course. Definitely, I want to have Olivia on, and I want to have definitely, obviously, Sean on the golf, and obviously Rita, and Jennifer. There's people running for office too now, so select board. And I gotta say, like looking back on this last year, like even though there's been a lot of recently the stress of it. There's also been so much good stuff that's happened, like, especially that they're auditing. I feel like it's important that they won that audit. It was like a movement in Canton, and the town decided we're gonna actually look into this. We can control our own government. So there's been a lot of good that happened. It just sucks that Turtle Boy's in jail right now. Oh wow! I guess I did get a super chat tonight. A super chat, super chat. Joey just saying gave $9.99. Mike, this case has become a cesspool of vitriol. You bring a respectable and cordial voice for this case, which it needs. Good to see you back. Well, I'm gonna say I'm trying right now. I'm gonna say I don't think I really did on social media in the past. So like I think we can all do better. And it doesn't mean you don't point out facts and you don't try. It just means, maybe you don't need to. I don't, but for me, I'm too old for that shit because I don't know when to stop. Like I'm the type of guy, like that's why I don't want to street fight somebody. I was a bouncer once, well, a bouncer for a number of years, and one night this drunk guy who actually I worked with, that he was a bully actually, kind of, and he took a swing at me, couple swings. And the cop after said, "You could have knocked him out. I heard he took a few swings at you." I'm like, that's not the point. You try not to get in that shit. That's my mindset. As I mature, it took me a long time to get there. As a younger guy, I probably would have swung over and over again. All right, I'm just reading your comments now. And I think that's a good thing I'm going to end on tonight. I'm going to, oh, I see. I didn't even put up the Venmo, and Patty said she sent a Venmo. I'll check that out. Thank you so much, Patty, for sending a Venmo tonight. All right. So you know what I want to do is what I said earlier. I want to end with Sean on the golf. I do. I want to go back to when Sean was on my show. And this is what I'm doing. I'm going back to just the beginning, the info that came out. Right from the beginning up to now. And we're seeing more and more every day now. I'm feeling good about this case. Yeah, and I'm interested to go see what all those letters say tonight too. I still haven't read them all. They're all coming out while I'm on the air. a year for my full-time gig, which is the dog care business. We're wild in my family tonight. We've got 4 different houses we're covering. So very busy. A lot more I would be like doing with the show tonight, but I'm happy because we got a great guest. So he's here and I'm really excited. We got a guy named he's DEA agent. Like, so how unprepared I am. I don't even have all his bona fides.
Shut up,
in front of me,
dude.
but this
Yeah,
guy
I'm
has
talking too
been,
much.
he's been
Let
around.
me
U.S.
skip ahead.
Capitol Police.
No one wants to hear me.
He's worked in
Let's
forensics,
get to the dude.
money laundering, international money laundering.
Some-
Weren't you? You were like the head of that.
I supervised, DEA's Bogota office for money laundering, which was the mecca. We brought all the money back into the country that was being funneled out from Colombia to the States to Europe. It was a fascinating end of my career. It was beautiful.
I bet that was kind of a good assignment at the end.
It was interesting to say the least. It was a whole different spectrum because for about 25 of those years, I was on the other side buying dope, working dope cases. I never worked money before. And it was a fascinating learning experience. It was awesome.
And
I was
so-
very fortunate.
Yes, you're very fortunate. And so now you've recently come out. You've been one of the most vocal supporters, I think, by far, from what I see, of free Karen Read. You think Karen Read is innocent? You came out early. Why did you decide to support Karen Read here?
Well, I think like most everyone, let's face it, I retired back to Naples. I started chasing white balls around the golf courses, and life was going on nicely. And it was about probably April of this year, a good friend of mine from Canton, we're all playing golf, and he said, Sean, do you remember this case in Canton with the police officer got found dead? I said, yeah, I heard about that in, I don't know, February, January of last year. I just thought it was a very unfortunate tragedy. And then life just went on. He said, no, Sean, there's something going on. I said, okay, now we're in the middle of a round, and I'm just a little bit intense with my golf game. He said, Sean, you got to listen to this guy, Turtle Boy. I go, what? He says, you got to listen to this guy, Turtle Boy. I said, what are you talking about, Turtle Boy? And I'm thinking about my game, and he says, Sean, just do me a favor, go to this website and listen. And I did. And at first, I just said, I was skeptical because I said, this is crazy. I will say one thing. It was the way he told the story. It was the way he captured me. I'm looking at him. I'm saying he was surprised. He was not a believer at first also. So I said, let me listen to this. So I started listening to his podcast. I started reading his blogs. I started reading other reports made by the Canton Police. And I said, wait a minute. Now, 28 years of my life was dedicated to the narcotics business, but my foundation is in police work. And I was fortunate to have the 3 years prior to DEA as a crime scene investigator. I did crime scene jobs. I put the yellow tape up. I cordoned off all the areas that had to be investigated, that had to be searched. And it was a very systematic, regimented protocol that it's an industry standard that you have to follow. And I just started looking at this case. I said, something's not right here. And then as time went on, I started getting into these groups, sitting in the background, watching people discuss the case. I would post anonymously some thoughts. And then it was probably, I don't know, May, maybe the middle of May, I think the chief of Canton came out with a statement. And she was asking people to have patience. She said that I think it was directed at Aidan, but she said there was some sensationalism going on. And I just didn't see it that way because there was something there. So I waited. She said to have patience, to let the process go, and she would have answers. And then it was probably about the middle of June, and the case was building. The information was coming up. That one hearing where Karen's defense team came up with that poster with the dog bites, I said, that's it. That changed everything for me. And I said, there's just no way how a vehicle, even if you took the state's own case, how a vehicle could just hit an individual from the neck up, cause all this damage, to have bruise marks on the back of his hands, no pelvic damage, no knees, no fractures of ribs, and have this incredible injury. And they're lacerations to me. They're not abrasions. And in fact, one of the police officers in the report wrote down lacerations. But as we're seeing now, I mean, we're seeing this evolve because all the reports are being changed. But that's what got me. So based on that,
I want to stop you just for 1 second, because
sure.
you brought up something about the cuts, and also, which I don't think gets brought up enough. I know Turtle Boy's shown it and talked about it. It looks like he punched somebody like that. I've punched somebody. I've been in fights as younger. Like that looks like he punched somebody on the hand. So that's another one. But like Court TV, one of these, these guys that think they know what they're talking about. I don't think they know the case like Turtle Boy does. I don't even think they know the case like I do, or especially you or Turtle Boy. But he got up there and said, well, I think it's possible that those cuts came when the car went over him, that he almost got run over from the bottom side of the car. I mean, do you think there's any credence to that?
I watched that show. Listen, Vinnie Politanen's great. How he got 4 people, he had a female and 3 other guys, all agreed at once. I said this couldn't be. I mean, first of all, they were factually wrong. They didn't have the right facts. And I just said, well, this is drama for TV. I guess he has to throw a few things in. But generally speaking, Vinnie Politanen's usually on the mark. And I believe he has a definitive opinion on this case. And I think it leans towards Karen Reed. It's in his voice. I'm telling you, the first video I saw was the Karen backing up out of her driveway to the car. He was a believer there. His female journalist was giving the story. He said, hey, wait a minute. That's not good. And I could hear it in his voice. But getting back to your point, how I guess threw myself into the ring here, I decided to sit down and say, okay, if I come out, I have to come out basically with my law enforcement background as a police officer, not a DEA guy. And so I wrote this letter. I drafted it maybe 10 times. I had to get it right. And I thought it was kind of an executive level person should be able to answer these questions. And so I had 17 bullets that I said, Chief Rafferty, I'm coming as a friend. And I just would like to ask these 17 questions. If you can answer, fine. If you can't, I'll understand. And it's now September. That was the middle of June. But I signed my name. I gave my bona fides, like you said, and my world got upside down. And I said, I got thrown into this thing. And now it's like, here I am. And yes, I do believe that Karen Reed is completely innocent. And you can't be, the type of person I am, I can't be straddling the line. You're either in or you're out. You're either on Team Karen or you're not. What I want is that the person that's out of the ring, fully out of the ring, convince me where I'm wrong. Or let me talk to you about how I feel. I haven't had that. I've asked publicly with Kevin Lenahan, the last show I was on. I haven't gotten any feedback. So,
the viewers that love you, they're making a lot of comments tonight. They're noting that a couple things I wanted to add too about your background is that you're a local guy. You're in Florida now, but you were originally a Boston guy, and then you went to Canton High School for 4 years, and you're a Canton High School graduate, I think class of 1975. Is that right? What year?
That's correct.
75. Wow. That's like before Carl Fisk and shit, right? I mean, that's way back.
No,
when was Carl Fisk around?
He was in the mid 70s. I remember the famous the home run.
Yeah, I remember that. I was young.
And I was in, went through those painful years. Come to Naples, and then went 4 World Series. It's incredible. But
so you're
I was originally a Boston guy, born in Dorchester. Half my time was in Dorchester, St. Peter's Parish, for all the Dot Rats, and then we moved to Canton. Moved to Mattapan, and spent time there with St. Angela's. We in Boston, as you probably know, Mike, it's all about parishes. It's landmarks, parishes,
Right.
streets come in later on. And then I was enrolled to go to Catholic Memorial. And then my parents moved to Canton, and I spent 4 years in Canton, went to Westfield State, went down to DC and started my career in 1979. A long time ago. But however, Mike, I got to tell you,
I love. Well, I wanted
waking
to
up
say
every
something.
morning.
Yeah, I love that you
Oh,
said
yeah.
parishes, because it's even in the sticks. Like I've lived, different places. I'm a Massachusetts guy. I've, went to school. People
Sure.
know Bridgewater State, but mostly a North Shore guy. I've lived in Boston, Cambridge, Somerville, different places. But my little neck of the woods where I kind of grew up, and my second half of my early life, let's put it that way, was a place called Byfield, and it's part of Newbury. And Byfield was created because of a friggin' church, a parish church. It's like if you go back to it, and there's so much of that, even in the sticks. Like it's like where my grandparents, they ended up in Danvers. It's so funny. If you lived here, you went to that church. That goes so far. It's so like even not just the city too, like even beyond the cities. It's very interesting. I love
It's
it.
just funny when you say being involved in this case as intensely. I kind of tend to take everything pretty intense. And I wake up every morning saying, where the hell am I? Am I in Canton? Am I in Boston? Because my whole life is dealing with people in Canton, in Boston. And that phone, that computer is on 24/7. I get to go to sleep, wake up, start the day. It's like just start the whole day over again. But I love it. I think it's been a great experience, and I think we're having a movement. Aidan's doing an incredible job. You got to listen. I told him yesterday, no matter what's going on, I support him 1,000,000%. It's because of him that I'm here, and I believe everyone else. And
Me too.
you can never take that away from him. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
And there was some questions people wanted to know. Last night I noticed he said some good things about you too. People wanted to know. The comments, they were like, because there's been some things going on with Facebook groups, and then there was the show, the Yellow Cottage Tales. I mean, people are in our comments about that. I did mention them. They say Yellow Cottage sucks. I think I want to be nice to them, honestly. Like I feel what people are saying. There's another one, Yellow Cottage Tale sucks. Like I don't think they suck. Like I don't, but I get why people are kind of aggravated with Kevin. And I guess I'm kind of aggravated with Kevin, especially when he, kind of said the shit he said about the mob and Turtle Boy and taking money, which it's bullshit. Like I just want to say, like, I've been subjected to from the same accusations from the same people. Not on the level that Turtle Boy has, obviously, but as soon as we started having we had Turtle Boy on, there were anonymous trolls saying that we're taking money from Karen Reed. And the person that went after Turtle Boy the most about taking money from Karen Reed is Wendy Murphy. And if I know anything about Wendy and her son, I've had a lot of experience with her son. People don't realize that maybe, but I have. And her son did the same exact thing to me. He claimed I took money from places I would never take money from. If people know about us, I'm a huge cannabis reform guy, but I am also one of the biggest critics of the big cannabis companies when they do wrong. So there's no way that I would take money from companies to not disclose it. And
Reminds me a little bit younger me. He's got a lot of aggression. He's got a lot of ambition, which is great. I love it. And so I think it's a show that can go forward. I think it was a bad night. But what can I say? We all have them.
it can happen,
Right.
especially if you haven't been doing this for like 10 years and,
Oh, jeez.
I mean, it happens to me, and I've been doing it for over 10 years. This show's been going for 9 years. We had a show before that for like another 5 or 6. So it hasn't been from YouTube. Yeah, I mean, people want. So let's talk about some other stuff too, because a lot has come out recently. Do you want to talk about like some of there's been a new defense filing. There's been like 3 prosecution filings. Do you want to talk about any of that stuff? Stand out to you?
They're kind of new. It's great that Lucky Law Firm has come forward. That's a biggie. I think the September 15th hearing is going to be explosive. The judge has, she has a handful now because there's a record, and I believe that the defense has appealed some of her decisions, rightly so. And I think September 15th is going to be awesome. I don't get into many of the weeds of this. I want to keep it to how the officers who had no idea that this was coming down, they get the phone call, they get the radio call, and they show up at this residence, and how they dealt with what they encountered. And I like to stay with that because I think that's the crux of the case. That's ground zero. I've always said, you can't change that crime scene. That crime scene is, and they talk about crime scenes at Canton PD. Listen, I don't know where this came from. It's what I believe. It's noise. It's like, stay away from. I said this 1,000 times. Let's talk about why was Jen McCabe the first person that detective, whatever his name is, Proctor, interviews? I've talked to a million cops about this. I said, let's partner up. Who are we going to interview? The guy in the house. It's his property. There was a party, whether he's in or out, it doesn't matter. Cops have to eliminate suspects. He's the first one. That's what guy you want to eliminate. Never done. They go down away from the house. They start talking about waterfall. I call it the kiss and drink tour. They're talking about kisses and drinks. I kind of coined that. And it's crazy. The attempt was keep this so far away from Brian Albert and 34 Fairview Drive. And I got to tell you, I said the other night in Kevin, that put Brian in the trick bag because guess what? There's a big hole there. There's a big question mark. Had they gone in and found nothing, everyone's in order. Maybe there's some potato chips. Maybe there's some spilled beers. Maybe there's, who knows? But there's no blood. There's no signs of a struggle. Well, we might be talking about something completely different now, but the fact that they didn't do it is the issue. And I'm seeing these other law enforcement people say, well, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. You have a guy with 13 degrees. He's got no coat on. They don't know he didn't have a coat on during the whole night. You come on, this is the problem. People, we're 19 months in this. We know this case back and forth, but those cops didn't. They come on the scene, they said, holy shit, what do we got? Well, their minds, their training has to kick in. You see a guy with no shoe on, no coat on. He's outside a residence where a party took place because the girlfriend says, I dropped him off for a party in that house. That is ample probable cause. I don't care. I'll debate that with anyone. To say at least.
I know. It's imagine if that happened
right.
at my house. If that was my house, they would have been there. They would have been knocking at my door. They would have been searching. They would have looked at the one pot plant I have on the deck. Like they would have scared the crap out of my dogs. Like they would have been in here. I know for a fact because if it was an underage drinking incident, they would have been in the house. Like that, just unbelievable that they didn't go into his house.
That's troubling. And I'll tell you, it's going to be an issue if this, listen, I'm still 50-50. Will this ever go to trial? But if it does go to trial, and I'm a little selfish, I want to see this go to trial because I want to see how these guys are going to sit on that stand and explain their actions. They're going to put experts on afterwards, and they will put guys like me who've done the job. I watched on court TV. There was the widower murder, whatever it was, I forget it was, and this detective, the lead detective, he gets on the show. Actually, he gets on the stand in court live. He runs through the protocol textbook. He says, we didn't enter that scene until everyone that was going to search the scene was on the property, and we had a briefing. We gave out assignments. No one in, no one out, until we had a person scribing, taking measurements, taking photos, taking sketches, measuring, looking for evidence. That's standard protocol. If I was doing it in 1981, the trade has evolved since 81.
Exactly.
But you don't deviate from protocol. And there's a lot of mistakes in this case. And like I said, you could change all the reports you want, but there's a four corners of that paper that can't change. You can't bring back what happened that day because there's a record now. Defend that record. That's it.
It's going to be
That's
hard.
the case.
You're right. They could drive through it.
That's my part. Yeah. Right.
I'm glad you mentioned the other part too, because I feel like there's multiple ways they're going to be drive a truck right through it. And that's like what you just laid out as number one. You also mentioned the other part, which the award-winning journalist really uncovered, which was the Lucky Loughran Like, I don't see how they're going to be able to get around the plow driver's testimony that he drove by twice, not once, but twice. And this is like, I got a plow guy that comes through here. I move my car for him. Like, these guys look like they are like by the, like, they know exactly, they're like by the inch. Like, they know what to look for. Those guys are looking to the sides because they don't want to break their equipment, and they don't want to damage anything and get charged. So, like, these guys are looking side to side. I don't care. You know, Jen Koth, whatever her name is, that crazy, you know, woman on Twitter is claiming otherwise. She's deleting tweets. We should talk about her tonight. But what do you, before we get to her, what do you think about Lucky and the whole thing about Lucky?
Ironic, right? So, ironically, where John was found by the flagpole, there's a fire hydrant. And during the winter, maybe, I mean, I noticed when my own father's house, they put these, sticks in the ground so that it illuminates at nighttime. You see a plow truck coming, you see those halogen lights coming from a mile, you know it's coming. That place must have looked like daylight when it came down to 2 o'clock in the morning. You got snow. It's illuminating. There's no way he could not. If the body was there, he would have seen it, especially if he's cognizant of that hydrant. I always said this. There's no way that a body could be missed if a plow driver was coming through looking at that hydrant, because you would see a 6-foot person right up 2 feet from it by the flagpole. They picked the wrong spot to put the body if they did it that way. That was the wrong spot, right? Let's face it. I mean, there's so many holes. I mean, like I said, but then you have the other part of it. You have the FBI involvement. And that's where my expertise as a federal agent comes in, because I know the ins and outs. I know the ins and outs of the grand jury. I know how it's worked. So I kind of have a dual commentary role in this thing by virtue of my experience. That's it.
I definitely want to talk about the FBI aspect of the grand jury. Before I get there, I want to talk about that Jen Coffin Daffer. We got some comments about her too.
I can't get her name straight all the time.
Do you see her on Twitter? Do you know what she's been posting?
I've engaged her several times, and I know someone made a comment. I've asked her questions. She won't answer me. I don't know why. She knows who I am. All right. She has an impeccable, incredible resume. She's done a lot of things in her career. Okay. I don't know how much job-wise experience she has. She has 28 years like myself. All right. But there's some flaws here. There's something I don't get why she said the guys had to go muster up and go to the barracks and get a squad car. She's had a take-home car her whole career, right? State troopers have take-home. Everyone knows that.
That's right.
That's something.
See him in the driveway. I mean, anyone who lives in Massachusetts knows that.
And as a detective with the CPAC, I know this. I worked with CPAC all up in Springfield, Mass. The whole time. They all have cars. They have call-outs. They have to be sent out. So for her to come out and say they mustered up, they rallied up, and they drove to the barracks and they had to get a 4-wheel drive car. Listen, there's she was on your show the other night, Trisha Martineau. She has pictures. She lives down the street of her dog. There was not much stuff. The timestamp was right there. Come on, this is crazy. This is crazy. It is. Come on. What are we doing? I'm telling you. I said this 1,000 times. What are we doing talking about this? It's right there.
I love that you brought up the guests for the last show was phenomenal. With the fucking random citizens from Canton. They were amazing. We should talk more about that too. But I also want to ask about Coffin Daffer today. She went after Aidan. She went after Turtle Boy, and she called him a scammer. She said that he was scamming money because he was admitting that he had these merchandise items that he was putting out, and 60% would go to the Karen Reed Fund and 40% would go to him. There's obviously a cost for merchandise that he's providing. I'm guessing that there's a tax issue too. Like when I raise money without a nonprofit, sometimes I'm paying tax on that. Like it's, so I don't feel like, and the big thing for me is he's transparent. He's telling you exactly what he's doing.